This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. And this afternoon, spring training rolls on. It's the final week here in Jupiter. Final tune-up for the St. Louis Cardinals. And this afternoon on Fox Sports Midwest, the St. Louis Cardinals play host to the Philadelphia Phillies. And welcome to St. Louis Cardinals baseball. That's the Cardinals Hall of Famer Jim Edmonds. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Delighted to have you with us. And the Cardinals are looking and searching for some offense. A near no-hitter thrown against them yesterday by the Miami Marlins. Looking to change things up here today. And that's really one of the big question marks right now, Jimmy, trying to get the offense going.
Yeah, it is. Yesterday was a tough day at the office, but they came out at the end there and tried to turn it up a notch, scored a couple of runs, and never give up attitude that they have going on right now during spring training. Even during the struggles, will get them a long way in the future. But you're right, they're juggling lineups back and forth. Guys are not in the lineup certain days. We're missing Colton Wong today, and just trying to piece the puzzle together. But coming up real soon, you're going to see the starting nine day in and day out.
Well, the Philadelphia Phillies, boy, they were busy this offseason, and they landed one of the big fish, and that is Bryce Harper. It was Harper, it was Segura, it was JT Realmuto, it was Andrew McCutchen. A lot of new faces with this team.
Yeah, new look Phillies, right? I mean, Harper obviously was the big fish, as you say, but a bunch of guys over there trying to make an impact in this league. And I think the Phillies dove in pretty deep, and hopefully for them it works out.
Well, we saw yesterday John Gant battling right now with Dakota Hudson for that fifth starter spot, and today it is Dakota Hudson.
Yeah, you're going to get another great look at a young pitcher battling for the rotation. What you're going to see today is another good young arm, move the ball around with some power, and it'll be interesting to see. I love these competitions. It doesn't matter. Both of these guys are quality starters, and either one of these guys make the roster, it's going to be a plus for this team, so it'll just be fun to see the competition.
Dakota Hudson here today, a treat in our third inning. Mike Schilt will throw on the headset and visit with us. It's Cardinals baseball. It's coming up. Hey, we've got the Cardinals Hall of Famer Jimmy Edmonds with us. We've got Cardinals baseball. Beautiful weather. The Phillies, the Cardinals, and baseball comes your way next. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you in part by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. By Kia. 2019 Kia Sorento, the perfect getaway vehicle. Visit KiaDealers.com to learn more. And by Steak and Shake. Come into Steak and Shake and get 4 meals with 4 items for $4. 4 for 4. Get more for 4. Only at Steak and Shake. Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida. Cool afternoon. It has been a rather hot spring training for the St. Louis Cardinals in terms of weather. Very warm down here in Jupiter. Mike Schilt's club, though, 8-12-3, and again searching for offense, but the pitching has really stood out. There's Dakota Hudson and his numbers from a season ago. Last year, 26 games out of the bullpen for St. Louis, and he went 4-1 with a 2.63 ERA. Mentioned it in the open, battling with John Gant for the 5th spot right now in the Cardinals rotation. John Gant pitching yesterday. Dakota Hudson making the start this afternoon against the Phillies. The Phillies, meanwhile, are 11-10-3. Cesar Hernandez, a switch hitter, leads it off. Odubel Herrera, left-handed batter, center fielder. Aaron Altair, Nick Williams, Dylan Cozens, Sean Rodriguez, Trevor Plouffe, Drew Butera, and Phil Gosselin, the starting 9 for the Philadelphia Phillies. The Cardinals defensively, Marcell Ozuna in left field. Harrison Bader is in center. Tyler O'Neill is in right field. And for the Cardinals on the infield, Munoz, DeYoung, Edman, and Goldschmidt, and Yadier Molina is behind the plate. And it looks like we may have a late scratch here, Jimmy, at second base. What are you pointing out?
Drew Robinson is at second base right now. I don't know if he was actually a scratch, because when I walked through the locker room, I saw Robinson's name in that lineup. So maybe 2 different lineups got posted today. Maybe a late scratch for us, but not for them.
Yeah. Hudson with that great sinker, and that's something we always talk about with Dakota.
Yeah, he's got that good exploding sinker, keeps the ball down, moves the ball around, and that's the one thing as a hitter, you start to look down there, and then he tries to zoom the ball up in the strike zone late. He gets a lot of strikeouts that way.
Pitch taken just a bit high, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Cesar Hernandez, switch hitter, right back to Hudson. It's really interesting when you think about Hudson, who was a starter in the minor leagues, PCL Pitcher of the Year. We don't talk about that enough in the Pacific Coast League. Pitcher of the Year last year, gets called up, part of that great run that the Cardinals had in August and September. But because of the sinker, for Mike Schilt, you know, you could see a role in the bullpen, but you also could see where he might be able to be a great weapon in a rotation. But, you know, you run into trouble, and this guy comes in with runners on out of the bullpen. He cleans up an inning and gets you out of trouble.
A guy like this is a weapon on both sides, like you say, bullpen and starting. Another thing you just saw right there, able to get early outs, easy outs with ground balls. If he can keep the ball down somehow, doesn't matter if you know the sinker's coming, the ball seems to get underneath your bat because it is so unpredictable of what kind of break it is, how late it breaks going down in the zone. And a lot of guys just roll over the top thinking that he's going to challenge him, and then the sinker out over the plate turned into a lot of ground balls over the course of one season. So you see that eating up innings. It really takes a little bit of the pressure off of the bullpen in the long run.
0-2 on Herrera. It's going to be a good Phillies team with all the additions they have made, highlighted by Bryce Harper. Now, he was hit by a pitch last week on the ankle, so probably wouldn't have made the trip from Clearwater anyway. Many veterans do not do that. And there's a swing and a miss. The strikeout, first of the afternoon for Dakota Hudson.
Look at that nice slider right there, down and in. That ball right there is literally unhittable. I think that when you start looking away as a hitter, especially from the left side, and then you get something in, you try to speed up, and then the slider disappears down low. No chance.
And we're told that Drew Robinson, by the way, will move into the 7th spot now for the Cardinals in their lineup, and Bader will go to the 8th spot in the Cardinal lineup. So we know you're scoring at home for the spring training games. Make that adjustment. Aaron Altair, 233, no home runs. He's driven in 5, and there's a base hit into center field. 2-out hit, Altair, and it brings in Nick Williams.
Danny, you talked about the Bryce Harper effect, right? In the notes today, reading, it said that they were averaging about 4,800 fans per game at the Phillies complex. And since he signed, 7,900 fans per game. Or I'm sorry, 9,300 fans, even better. But part of that has to do with kind of the time of the year, but still, I mean, that's quite an impact.
And today, it was about 50 minutes from our first pitch. There were 200 tickets remaining, standing room only. That was it.
Well, you can look around today. I mean, it's spring break clearly, but it's not a weekend.
It's Monday afternoon.
This place is packed.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of cool. You know, you're in spring training, right? So you normally see, you know, get Marlins jerseys and Cardinals jerseys everywhere. We played the Astros a couple of days back, and there's a few Astros jerseys. There's a lot of Philly fans here today.
A 1 pitch by Hudson, taken for a ball. One thing we see with John Gant at times, long innings like we saw yesterday, and that sometimes can plague him as a starter, not going deeper into games, where Hudson can be a little bit more efficient.
Yeah, and that's one part of the game that really can favor Hudson. Like I said, getting those ground ball outs, the double plays to save you time and save pitches. And it's really all about managing the game, and managing the biggest part of the game is pitch count and getting your team off the field.
3 of 4 first pitch strikes thus far for Dakota Hudson. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike with 2 outs and a runner at first. And a grounder that's tapped foul.
And Danny, you know what I forgot to tell you too? Happy birthday.
I appreciate that,
My
Jimmy.
partner's birthday today. He's 39 again.
Yeah.
But by the way, happy birthday.
I appreciate that.
There he is.
39. Again.
Again.
The 2-2. There's your ground ball, and there's your out. Goldschmidt steps on the bag. Jairo Munoz leads it off when we come back. No score. We're in the bottom of the first. The Phillies and the Cardinals here from Roger Dean Stadium. To understand that there may be some rain in our forecast. Overcast skies right now. Zach Eflin was 11-8 last year for the Phillies. Made 24 starts. And it's Jairo Munoz. Some of the decisions right now, the battles in camp for the Cardinals, if you will, would be the bench, fifth starter, backup catcher. Still some decisions with the bullpen. One of those would be what happens with the fifth starter. That, you know, with Gant and Hudson, one or the other would go to the bullpen. Then you also have the lefty situation. Brett Cecil has been put on the injured list. We'll get more into that.
The thing I always remember from my playing days, and even now being up here, is you always hear the general manager, the manager said these things work themselves out, and they eventually do. Somehow, someone will either be that much better than everyone else, or you'll have an injury, or something will happen, and it'll work itself out. There's hardly a decision that doesn't get made that doesn't make sense. Happens maybe once here and there, but not very often is it like break camp and, oh my gosh, why is this guy and this guy? It's usually maybe one, if that.
It's funny you say that talking with John Mozeliak this morning, I said, well, you only have a few more days, and you've got to have your 25-man set. And there's a strikeout of Munoz. And he said, I caution to start setting things in stone because exactly that.
As soon as you make up your mind and set things up, something goes wrong.
Exactly.
So that's been around the game a long time. I think that even for me sitting up here listening to that exact same person explain that, you always got to have your one or two options at the end just in case.
There's Goldschmidt.
And I think the good thing about at this stage of the spring is you're basically everyone out there can play. You know, everyone out there can put together what they need to do to be a big league ball player. So they're really the options are really not bad either way. So you just have to take that chance. And sometimes it comes down to whether the person can be sent down to the minor leagues or not. Whether sometimes if the player can hit left-handed pitching or not. So those little things get worked out.
Goldschmidt still looking for that first spring home run. 273 the average, and he's driven in 2. Brett Cecil, who dropped nearly 50 pounds coming into camp, placed on the injured list and will not go north with the team at the start of the season. Mike Schilt making that announcement today. There's a strikeout. And Mike saying that he's dealing with a few things with his body and his arm, and he's going to be shut down for a while. And velocity has been a cause of concern, mechanics, different things. So that's one lefty out of the equation. You talked about guys you cannot send down to the minor leagues. That would be Jason Shreve. So he's out of options. Yeah. That's part of the game.
That's your long look right there. I think you tend to have to worry about that a little bit longer than you do just maybe sending someone out. When you send somebody down that you're going to lose for sure, that look maybe gets a little bit longer. Like I said, once you make those decisions, you make them.
You've got options like Tommy Lane, and Webb was a guy that we've seen a bunch of.
It's funny, like you think about like the Shreve situation, right? If you're the manager or the general manager, you have to assume that if you do something with him, he's gone. So that probably weighs a little bit heavier.
Base hit out to left for the Cardinals shortstop. This is the updated lineup now for the Cardinals after the base hit by DeYoung. Marcell Ozuna will bat cleanup. Then Tyler O'Neill, Molina, Robinson, Bader, and Hudson. No other way to put it. It's been not a great camp here for Marcell, batting 107. No home runs, and he has driven in one. But that could change here in the final week. Try to get him going. Jimmy, I know you've worked a lot with Marcell, whether it be in the cage or looking at video, backfields, those kind of things. Is it a balance issue here with Marcell? What's he trying to do?
I feel like he was just kind of rushing a little bit. And at first, obviously, he had a little shoulder problems. We see right here, and I'd love to see that side swing right there. And too bad we don't have a little pin to draw a line kind of right down the middle of his body. But sometimes when hitters, and even myself when I played, if you look right down the middle of his body, when his hips start to go forward a little bit too early, you start to drag the bat a little bit. He's had a little trouble with that early on, and I think it has to do with maybe his injury and maybe just being in a funk starting spring training.
Cardinals strand a runner. We move to inning number 2, and there's no score. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you in part by Hyundai. The Hyundai SUV lineup has always been better. Now it's bigger. Visit your local Hyundai dealer or buy Hyundai.com today. Buy Shelter Insurance. For your auto, home, and life. We're your shield. We're your shelter. And by the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket played gives back to Missouri schools. So, play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. No score. We're in the top of the second. Dylan Cousins, the designated hitter today. Shift on the right side for the St. Louis Cardinals. All kinds of room in the left side of the infield. There's been the talk of this Cardinals camp, whether you're visiting with national media that go in and out of the various camps down here in Florida and Arizona, or the scouts. That's skied into center field. Harrison Bader under it, and he'll make the catch. But Jimmy, they talk about not just the pitching that we anticipate going north with the big league club, but what they've seen with the minor league guys. And on the backfields, the Cardinals are loaded with pitching. Now we'll see if it comes to fruition and it all comes together in the regular season. But there's Mike Maddox, and he was telling us on our broadcast, he said, I've never been associated with these types of arms. But everybody's talking about the pitching.
Day in and day out, they ran some guys out there that are quality pitchers no matter how old. And there's kids that are 19, 20, 21, 22 years old. I mean, it's just amazing the professionalism that they have brought this year. They've learned a lot from each other. They've done a nice job in the minor leagues. I mean, they really have. And you see these guys, man, they are teammates through and through, and it's so impressive to watch. I spoke to a couple of these guys the other day, and I just told them I was impressed with the way that they handle themselves. And like you said, day in and day out, they've ran pitchers out there. Half the guys are been sent down, and they've done a nice job all spring.
One of those was Ryan Helsley, and he was pitching in the first game that we had and hit 100 on the gun. And I know some fans, as Sean Rodriguez swings and misses and now 2-2, they were wondering, well, why? And he was sent down just to get innings. I mean, it wasn't a demotion right away. It wasn't that they didn't like what they saw. It was just to keep him on schedule to get innings. And there's a swing and a miss by Sean, and Sean's dad is a manager in the Cardinals minor league system.
Yeah, the innings is a big thing. You would love to see guys stay up all spring and get that big league experience, but at certain points, you got to just they're going to go to the minor leagues at some point, so you got to get them down there, get them focused on what they're doing, and not have them sitting around here in big league camp not able to pitch.
Trevor Plouffe hitting .211, the first baseman today. Gabe Kapler, the manager of the Phillies, really let himself go this offseason.
He looks at me, snuck in a uniform right there. There he is. I told the guys today, when you're getting old, is when guys that you came up with and guys that you had an agent with are now managers. They're not players, and they're not just kind of around the game. Gabe Kapler and I shared the same agent, and it's funny because, all the players now spend some time with Dexter, and his agents are the same as some of the guys that are on the PGA Tour and guys around the league. And I said, yeah, mine are managers and retired players. That's how you know you're old.
I would think it'd be, first of all, tough to manage in Philly. Tough town. But then a lot of pressure on them this year with all the moves that they've made. And the catch made by Bader. And a 1-2-3 inning. Coming up, O'Neill, Molina, and Robinson. No Cardinals Hall of Fame voting is live now through April 12th. Go to cardinals.com/HOF to see the ballot and vote for your favorite players. Special thanks to Edward Jones for sponsoring the Hall of Fame and the annual voting process. Tyler O'Neill got off to a fast start here in camp. A lot of home runs. He's got 4. Cooled off a bit and now hitting 182. Zach Eflin, the 33rd overall selection in 2012 by San Diego. And there's a high fly ball out to deep right field. It's at the wall, and there's home run number 5. Opposite field home run, Tyler O'Neill. Number 5 here in spring as he muscles it over the wall. And it's 1-0 St. Louis.
This is good news right here, Danny. This ball the other way is something that he's going to really have to do if he wants to play at this level, just because the straight fact is they're going to start pitching him out there, not going to just give him fastballs to yank over the fence. And that's a really nice swing right there by Tyler O'Neill.
5 spring home runs hit by Tyler O'Neill. And Molina pulls it foul. Just raw power with him, isn't it? Man,
yeah,
oh man.
It's impressive. He's got such a quick bat, too. Sometimes it's almost too quick, too short through the zone, and that was just a nice swing.
I don't know if you picked up on it with O'Neill, but I had a long conversation a couple weekends ago with him about just pitch recognition. I think he's been better with that in this camp as well. We haven't seen him chase as much either.
And you take a look right here, nice and short and compact. The ball gets deep. Doesn't try to pull it. You're right, I think. But, I also think, too, this is like a more comfortable position for him, right? Starting spring training, knows he's got a chance to make the team. But he got that chance last year to play a little bit. Sometimes when you get called up during the season, you're already tired, you're fatigued, you're mentally trying to battle as far as back and forth of I don't want to get sent back down, I got to impress. And right now he's just kind of settling in. And the batting average isn't where he wants it, but the power numbers are there, and that's what they love.
Hits it on the nose, but right to center fielder Odubel Herrera. Well, Yachty's been stinging the ball here in camp.
Good spring training outs. Hit the ball in the nose, don't have to run the bases.
Don't worry about the results, huh?
Yeah, you just hit the ball hard.
Here's Drew Robinson. Seen his hand taped as he's been out in the field. He was hit by a pitch 4 or 5 days ago. Was able to stay in the game and pops that foul.
He got hit again yesterday, wasn't it? Trying to bunt. Got hit on the finger, so he's been beating himself up.
Numbers last year in 47 games in the big leagues. Did have 3 home runs. Showing bunt and takes a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. That would be one of the things that the Cardinals, I think, would have concerns with. Who would be a backup at short, or who would give DeYoung a breather for Mike Schildt's club. And Robinson has shown that he could handle that as a backup defensively. 2-1 pitch. And Robinson, it's a fly ball out to right. Altair is back at the wall, and it's caught at the top of the wall.
Tell you what, Drew Robinson could have used that right now. He's started off swinging the bat pretty good, and it's been struggling a little bit of late. Put a charge into that one, but Roger Dean got him again.
Yep.
As they say down there.
And the batter is Harrison Bader. We saw the shift late in the game against Harrison Bader yesterday. And it was kind of interesting. We haven't seen many shifts against him. And you had to wonder if teams are going to do that. Or was it just something that the Marlins were, maybe working on against right-handed batters, but something that the Cardinals did today with Bader on the backfields was working on the bunt against the shift with Bader at the plate, just trying to push the bunt to the right side.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that Harrison has, in the past, has really come over the top of some balls to hit and hit balls to the shortstop and in the hole. But he's been trying to work on a new swing this year a little bit, just trying to stay through the ball a little bit longer. So hopefully that works out for him. I'd love to see teams shifting on him.
Slowly hit back to Eflin. Tyler O'Neill now with 5 spring home runs. The manager of the Cardinals, Mike Schildt, will join us when we come back. Is our guest, the Cardinals manager, here in the top of the third as Dakota Hudson goes back to work. And Mike, thanks for joining us. We got now just a handful of days before camp breaks. Let's get your general impressions of camp. How's it going?
Well, first of all, Danny, happy birthday.
Well, I appreciate that, Mike. That means a lot coming from you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. You're the best, dude.
39 years of age again. It's just amazing. It just stays on 39. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Pretty good pitch right there.
How's camp been going?
Camp's been going great. I can't emphasize enough the way these guys are going about it, the work they're getting, the focus, the concentration, the attention to detail, across the board has been, first class.
How about the guy to my right here, Jim Edmonds, being an instructor here in camp? How's that been going with Jimmy? And you can be honest now.
Dan, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to bring it up. He's been a wonderful asset to camp. He really has. Jimmy, you've done a great job. A lot of wisdom. He sees the game well. He's got a nice demeanor about how he approaches and shares it. And, he's been able to watch and observe and fit into our staff. He's done a phenomenal job.
Great. What have you seen with Dakota and Gant and kind of this competition for this 5th starter spot?
Well, it's just that. It's a great competition. Both those guys are definitely earned their opportunity to be our 5th starter. Dakota's thrown the ball well. Gant's done a nice job. Of course, as soon as you say it, base hit. That's about what it looks like. Hey, can I catch you guys the next inning? Because I'm going to get these running game times with you.
Go
ahead.
Right
Go
now.
do it, and
right.
we'll get you next inning.
Thanks.
I like that. The little in-game.
In-game.
He wants to do a little stuff with Yachty here.
So for those of you at home that don't understand what's going on, this basically now that there's a person on first base, the communication between the catcher Yadier Molina and the manager are pitch-to-pitch importance. So he's going to tell him when to pitch out, when to throw over, when to hold the runner.
And a base hit into right field.
And when to do certain things. So
look at this arm. It's high, and they missed the cut as well. Well, he's got a strong arm, but you got to hit the cut there.
Well, that's one of the things that we talk about with the younger players, and you can take a look right here. He's doing everything right except for needs to slow down just a little bit. And had a lot of conversations with Harrison Bader about this all spring training. We threw with him today on the backfields. He works so hard. But the one thing that happens is when I'm out there with him. And so a guy like Tyler O'Neill is working on his hitting and doing those things like that, and Harrison's out working on his throwing. So we're kind of missing some of the guys at times during the spring because you can't really get around to everyone. But that's just a play I'm sure now Tyler knows that can't make. And like you said, strong arm, great athlete. But those things, being young and being energetic and being so strong and having all this energy, it's got to be kind of harnessed a little bit and brought back. And, today throwing on the backfields with Harrison, I told him, I was like, hey, you're doing everything right, except for you're trying to throw the ball too hard. So back off a little bit and throw the ball at 75%. Throw the ball on the money. Throw the ball as hard as you want. If you don't throw the ball at the base, you're never going to get an out. And so it kind of hit home with him a little bit. And so now it looks like I got to move over to right field and have that conversation there too. But
sure.
It's all part of it. And you know what? And I'm laughing about it, and it's funny because we talk about it. I went through the same thing. I told those guys I threw the ball in the stands a couple of times when I was in Anaheim just because I wanted to throw the guy out so bad.
Here's Herrera after the base hit by Hernandez. So runners at second and third. Third baseman Munoz is even with the bag, and everybody else back on the infield. Toyota keys to the game, talking about it a lot, but the battle for the fifth spot.
Yeah, Mike nailed it too, and you've been talking about it. The thing that I learned also when I played was this is a good battle. Competition is good for these guys, and it's no different. They're competing against each other, but it's no different than competing out there on the mound for or against another team. So competition brings out the best in people, and between Gant and Hudson, I think this is just like one of those things that you deal with in spring training. It's just going to make these two better.
3-0 the count on Herrera. Little squibber hit to third and an error. And so the bases will be loaded and Altair will come up.
Yeah, it's a tough spot where he's playing. I kind of hate the fact he's standing right on the edge of the dirt, and the grass right there is like hit like a changeup. It's funny. It's one of those where you can say it's a tough play, but it's not a tough play. Like it probably should be made 99.9% of the time. You should never know that way that ball came off the grass. Clearly stayed down on him and just fundamentally just wasn't made.
Well, instead of being out of the inning, I mean, you could think about having runners at first and third. That's a ground ball. That's a double play. You're out of the inning. And then you think about second and third, that ground ball being hit should be an out and having two outs. So reality is that he could be out of this inning. Instead, nobody out, or rather one out, bases loaded. Needs that ground ball here and maybe the potential of the double play. Pitch taken low, and that's the beauty of Hudson, that great sinker to get out of these types of situations.
Yeah, you know, as a pitcher, all you can do is your job, right? Well, gave up a hit to right field, overthrow the cutoff man. Your job is to go get a ground ball, and he got it. The play wasn't made, so you just try to keep going out there and getting a ground ball. That's all you can do.
Two balls and no strikes. Altair singled to center first time up. Good pitch. Boy, it's got that late sinking action.
It's actually a good slider. There's a big league pitch right there, 2-0. That is a gutsy call by Yadi Molina and a great execution by Hudson.
Evens it up, 2-2. The 2-2 pitch. We see that time and again this year when Hudson is on the mound. Just guys, they just don't barrel him up. Foul ball after foul ball like that.
Yeah, it's got that sinker that comes into the righty and the slider that goes down and away. So as a righty, you have to kind of guess of which direction it's going to go. And if you pick one, you have to take the other one. And hopefully, as a hitter, it's not a strike.
Bases loaded now, full count. Three-two pitch to Aaron Altair. Struck him out.
Danny, there used to be a saying when I came up in baseball, if you're going to throw it 3-1, you better be ready to throw it 3-2, and there it is right there. You make the adjustment. The first pitch is kind of down and away. He doesn't make the pitch, 2-2, sorry, and then 3-2. He comes back with it and throws a nice pitch.
3-2 strikeout on that pitch, and now it's Nick Williams with the Cardinals leading 1-0. Bases loaded and 2 outs. There's strike one. Now 0-2. These are the kind of things I'm sure if you're a coaching staff, these are the things that put you over the top and that get your attention. Pitching out of a jam like this, if he can do it.
Yeah, those managers and coaches are making notes every game, and this is going to be a big notation right here if he gets out of this inning after having 2 tough defensive plays behind him.
The base is loaded. 2 outs, and the 0-2 pitch. He struck him out. What a job. What a job, Dakota Hudson. Struck out Altair. Strikes out Williams. The Phillies strand. The base is loaded. Well done, Dakota Hudson. April 7th, right around the corner, and a reminder as Dakota Hudson digs in. 30,000 fans will take home the windbreaker coming up. Cardinals.com/promotions as Hudson hits it towards second. Loved by Hernandez. That's courtesy of Old Dominion Freight Line. The windbreaker coming up at the ballpark. So Dakota Hudson, first man retired in the home half of the third. What a job there, Jimmy. The back-to-back strikeouts with the bases loaded by Dakota Hudson.
Talk about that sinker over and over and over, and then he comes up big with some strikeouts. But like I said, that you have a good sinker. That's in the back of every hitter's mind, and you can use that slider for a weapon.
A strike to Munoz. That was nasty. Munoz first time up, struck out. And the 2-1 pitch to Jairo Munoz. Zach Eflin pitched at the University of Central Florida. It's 3-2, mentioned earlier. drafted 33rd overall by San Diego. That was in 2012. And then eventually picked up by the Phillies. 3-2 pitch. And Munoz strikes out for the second time.
Got a good little sinker of his own right there, and only throwing 90 to 92. Hit your spots, and he does. Look where he throws this pitch. Perfect location. Probably out of the strike zone, but looks good enough when it starts coming out of his hand. It looks like it's going to be a strike, and really just gets underneath Munoz's hands.
Jimmy, you've been around Goldschmidt a little bit. Can you tell our fans what it's like to, be in uniform spring training around this guy?
I love him. I really do. He's a professional, and he wants to get better every day. He's one of those guys that feel like he's been around for a while, and he wants to learn. I know he's kind of feeling through his first kind of couple weeks of being a St. Louis Cardinal, but he is going to be a good one, and it's going to be fun to watch him kind of take this team under his wing and be the veteran that he is.
Left center, and the center fielder, Herrera, with the catch. Goldschmidt today 0 for 2. Head to the fourth, and the Cardinals on top 1-0. Now, Mike Schilt is very conscientious, and he said, okay, I'm back on headset. We said, all right, great. There he is. He's back with us. And so, Mike, that was pretty special what we just saw from Dakota Hudson, wasn't it? Getting out of that inning?
Yeah, that's what Stuff will do for you, and he's clearly got good stuff. So, good trade. It looks, he gets in jam. We kind of put him in a jam a little bit there. And, instead of getting outside himself, he bears down, makes quality pitches, and gets himself out of it.
Can you tell our fans, maybe some of the other battles that you may have going on? I guess maybe your bullpen and I guess backup catcher, and where you're at with some of those things without naming names, but is that kind of where you're at here in the final week?
Yeah, that's where we are. We met this morning and talked about it, and, the good news is we have competition. Bob Gebhardt, who's been a general manager of the league a couple of years, there's been years where he's put together teams and trying to get to 25. And clearly we're not in that case. We got a deep roster and guys that can do a lot of different things. So, we're sorting out the competition between Pena and Wieters. Matt went down and caught today Miles' work in the minor league game, which was effective. And, Pena's back from his oblique he had, and he's had a nice camp. So, we got to make a decision about that in the next week or so. And, of course, finalizing the bullpen as well. And, of course, we'll see what happens with Jeb, which will impact our, last utility spot.
Sure. What's it been like being around Paul Goldschmidt this first spring training for him in St. Louis?
I think I can echo this for everybody, including you guys. You spent some time with him. He's a baseball guy, so you have baseball conversations that are deeper than just hitting. Obviously hitters like to talk hitting, but he likes to talk the game, and it's not surface conversation. It's very detailed, and he's got a great insight on every aspect of the game, base running or playing first base or even rundowns, how he execute it, and he's got a clarity to what he wants to do and how he does it, and you just appreciate the fact he loves the game, loves playing.
It's been interesting that it's been a camp where you're asked about all these different players. I have not really heard you been asked about all that much about the guy behind the plate. Isn't it been interesting? I mean, we haven't really talked about Yadier Molina. He's probably headed to the Hall of Fame, and yet you're not really asked about him all that much. What kind of camp has it been for Yadi?
He's been business as usual. He comes in with a little bit, a downtime with the knee, but he set a timeline for him that was very obtainable on the 14th to come back, and of course he comes back 4 to 5 days earlier than that, and he's just special. You mentioned he's a Hall of Famer, so just glad to have him back leading us. I'm gonna run, guys.
Now you got to go.
Got to go, Mike. Thanks. He's got to go.
At least he's got a short walk. I mean, at least we set the camera up in the plate side of the dugout so he doesn't have to walk all the way to the other end.
One of the things I do know is that Mike Schilt, and you know this quite well, Jimmy, is having meetings every day before the player. Well, some of the players are here, and then the rest of the guys get here. But before that time happens, the entire staff, and I mean guys behind the scenes, coaches, assistant GMs, GM, Mo, they're all involved, and you're involved in many of those meetings. What's it like being around Mike Schilt, his first camp, from your perspective?
He's been, you know what? He's been great. He's been open. The communication has been second to none. I think that what I like most about him is I think that everyone on the coaching side feels like they're being heard and they're being used and being listened to, because he really does. He goes around the room every morning and sees, gets guys involved and sees what everyone has to offer, and if they have any input. You don't really get that a whole lot at any level. So I think a lot of the guys that are around, even the minor league coaches, feel appreciated, and they're getting a little bit of a say-so. Even if he doesn't care, he doesn't act like that. And that's huge, I think, for everyone there. And then it makes them want to give more and be around it a little bit more. I know it's done that for me.
1 ball and 1 strike. Rodriguez, the runner at first base. Mike mentioned that Miles Michaelis pitched on the backfields. 93 pitches, went 6 in the third. No walks, not a surprise there. Struck out 5. Also Jack Flaherty pitching back there, and there's another swing and a miss. Strikeout at Trevor Plouffe. That's 6 now for Dakota Hudson. Flaherty went 6 innings, walked 2, and struck out 9 in 84 pitches.
That's a good slider right there. Lets the bottom drop out of it. No chance. Got to respect that sinker as a right-handed hitter, and that's what's so good about having that kind of sinker and that slider. Like I said, you got to anticipate one of them, and if you guess wrong, it's really tough to put the other one in play.
Drew Butera. And there's a strike. Bump and strikes again. Line on Dakota Hudson so far with those 6 strikeouts in 3 2/3. Butera has been with the Twins, Dodgers, Angels, Royals, and Rockies. The son of former major leaguer Sal Butera. He's caught a no-hitter in both leagues. Did it for Francisco Liriano and also Josh Beckett. Signed a minor league deal with the Phillies. Runner goes. Molina to second. Are you kidding me? Not even close. Not even close. Rodriguez gunned down.
Take it for granted.
Man, oh man.
Don't take it for granted. It's pretty impressive.
Whop. Goodbye. Here on MLB.tv and catch all the games on your favorite devices. Visit MLB.tv for details. It's sharply to third. And he stays on the bag for the out. Young is 1 for 2.
Little early stretch by the first baseman. Almost got him.
There's Marcell Ozuna. Ozuna fly to center, first time up. Got a double box here, Jimmy, and let's go back to what you're trying to find out here with Marcell.
Yeah, it's still that same thing, right? Trying to keep that center of gravity behind the middle. See right there, that little bit of drift. He knows it. It's so hard to fix it. If you do it enough, it starts to become routine, and so now you got to kind of undo the routine.
How do you do it then?
It's a lot of work in the cage. It's really going backwards and starting all over again. And I think that maybe sometimes injuries play a role in it, and sometimes it's just something you can't get out of.
Ozuna safe, hustling down the line.
Tell you what, right there, though, that's the first time all spring I've seen him really trying to almost give up an at-bat and try to go the other way. Look, he knows he's beat. He tries to push the ball the other way. Hustling. He's been frustrated all spring. He's had a really tough spring trying to figure things out, coming back from an injury. Tell you what, he's still been enthusiastic, and you can see right there he's hustling like a professional should.
One out base hit. Tyler O'Neill with an opposite field home run. His 5th of the spring, back in the 2nd. Last Cardinal with 5 spring home runs was Matt Adams, 2017. No one has hit 6 in spring since all the way back in 2006. Here's the 1-0 pitch.
I really recommend hitting 6 home runs in spring training. I feel like you're peaking too early.
Too early.
But you either got it or you don't. And he's taking some really nice swings this spring. Kind of hard to ignore that power. There was a guy for the A's back in the mid-90s, late 90s, named Patrick Lennon. Came up with the A's every year. Big, huge, strong guy. He was bigger than Ozuna. Tall, strong. He had 8 home runs, 9 home runs every spring, 4 or 5 years in a row. I don't know if he got more than 10 at-bats in the big leagues over those 4 or 5 years.
Wouldn't see him again.
Kills balls over the light tower in Tempe, Arizona when I was playing for the Angels, and never made a team out of spring training.
Swinging away on 3-0. Well, he may have been blocked too. There was a couple of pretty good players on those A's teams. Canseco, McGuire, Ricky Henderson, Carney Lansford.
And he out-hit them all.
Right.
Hit some of the farthest balls I've ever seen in my life.
3-1 pitch to O'Neill. Inside and a walk. Budweiser, what's on tap? So it's the off day tomorrow for the club, and then all the games will be seen right here on Fox Sports Midwest. Miami, then the Yankees, Mets, Washington, and Miami. Cardinals will have an exhibition in Memphis, and then start up the regular season on the 28th against Milwaukee, and we'll come your way at noon with an hour-long pregame show. The Cat will be with us in Milwaukee. Believe that Brad Thompson will be my partner for that game. And in studio, Erica Weston, Jim Edmonds, Al Raboski. Tapped foul. Opening day. Looking forward to it. And we know it won't be too cold. no snow, no rain out. Don't have to worry about it in Milwaukee.
You know that it's going to be 62 degrees, if not colder, in batting practice.
That's
and
right.
Probably 75 degrees at game time as soon as that place fills up.
That's right. No problemo. 0-2 the count on Yadier Molina. Line to center, first time up. Inning started with a ground out by DeYoung. Ozuna, an infield hit. Walked by O'Neill. And now Molina hit the 0-2 pitch, leans into it, and the base is loaded. Hit the umpire, I believe. And a chance for Drew Robinson. They've caught him on the hand.
Had to go down and in.
Sure did.
Got away from him a little bit.
Well, you heard Mike Schill talk about Jed Jerko nursing that sore calf, and so the door could be open for a guy like Drew Robinson. One out, and the bases are loaded. And strike one. Robinson fly to right. 0 for 1. We haven't seen hardly anything from Jerko here in spring. He's been out. And the 0-1. Double play ball. And the inning over. Hit it sharply, but into a double play. We head to inning number 5, and it's 1-0 Cardinals. Weekend is Saturday, April 6th. 30,000 fans, 16 and older, surprised at the gates. Mystery Hall of Fame parade bobblehead, courtesy of Ford. Could get Ozzie, Whitey, Bruce Sutter. Get your tickets today, cardinals.com/promotions. Ozzie was here at camp. Willie McGee in uniform, part of the coaching staff. Bruce Sutter was thinking about coming down, but had to stay back home. We'll see him on opening day, and we were with Joe Pfeiffer, who is down here, part of the Cardinals front office and working with the alumni. He tells us that we will have 16 Redcoats. All 16 of the Cardinals Redcoats will be in attendance for opening day, and the Hall of Famers will be there. Baseball Hall of Famers will be there for opening day, so all will be in attendance. It'll be great. Special day in St. Louis. Here's the 0-1 pitch. And it's lined into left field. Ozuna won't get there, and it gets on by him. Backing up Bader. And that'll be a double for Drew Butera.
Oh, funky play right here. The ball's hit off the end of the bat. It almost looks like it's just kind of going away from him, but kind of just doesn't really do much with it. Just gets himself caught in a weird hop, and so be it.
And the former Gold Glover couldn't come up with it. Here's Phil Gosselin.
Spring training.
Leadoff double, and now Gosselin, who singled his first time up, takes a ball down and in. Dakota Hudson has struck out 6. He has walked 1. And allowed 4 base hits and no runs thus far. Third baseman Munoz in at third. And there's a strike. Well, you're seeing on the backfields with Michaelis, Flaherty going right around 90 pitches. Maybe we'll get around there today with Dakota Hudson. He's at pitch number 70 upcoming here. Hit to the right side, so that's how you do it. Advancing the runner. Take a look at the day of Dakota Hudson. Everything down.
Nasty sliders.
Infield brought in for Hernandez. Infield in for St. Louis. Outfield shallow. There's strike one. So Hudson has pitched out of trouble when his defense let him down back in the third. And let's see what can happen here. Hernandez has bounced back to Hudson and also singled 1 for 2 today. Big gap in right center and the 1-1 pitch.
I like what Yadi's doing here too. The sinker usually goes into a righty, right? But Yadi knows that slider is such a weapon today that he's challenging both sides of the plate with fastballs in. As soon as you start to speed up, the hitter basically opens up the plate for anything off speed. So he's trying to make everyone on the Phillies aware of that fastball, so he can probably go to this slider right here. See if he can throw it in the same exact spot.
He got him. Strikeout number 7 for Hudson. Take it back to the third inning with the bases loaded, and it was with just 1 out. So this is how he got into trouble. And then all of a sudden he was able to get out of it. And Jimmy, you're talking about that slider and an effective pitch there just moments ago.
Yeah, you can see what he did to the last hitter right there. Challenged him in twice with the fastball, threw a slider in and down. And then Yadi with a great call with the breaking ball. Changed the eyesight. He couldn't even pull the trigger. So you can see he's got some weapons. And I think best of all, pitching inside. You pitch inside, it opens up all that stuff out there. Guys start to get a little impatient and get a little worried about being able to hit an inside strike.
So 2 outs now and a runner at third base. Nothing in 2. Again, elevating that pitch. This has been impressive today by Dakota Hudson. Again, can he do it and pitch out of this jam? Herrera is 0 for 2. And the 0-2 outside. Cardinals with a lefty throwing in the bullpen. Aaron Altair is on deck, a right-handed batter, and then back-to-back lefties after him. They shade Herrera into left center. Big gap again in right center. The 1-2 pitch by Dakota Hudson. Blocked beautifully again by Molina. Boy, that's well done there.
Makes it a lot easier on the pitchers when they know they can challenge hitters, throw the breaking ball where they're supposed to, and just rely on the fact that he's the best, one of the best that's ever played this game. At that catcher's position, he's going to knock anything down, or at least try to.
And the 2-2 pitch, Dakota Hudson to Herrera. Struck him out. Back-to-back strikeouts. That's now 8 for Hudson through 5. And again, pitching out of trouble. The Phillies still not on the board. To catch a Cardinals game, even more to score. Your tickets at StubHub. The best selection of 100% MLB verified tickets available even after first pitch. StubHub, an official partner of the Cardinals. Man, oh man, has Dakota Hudson been impressive today. It's twice now with runners on and a runner at third base, less than 2 outs, and pitching out of trouble. Here's Harrison Bader, and he takes ball 1, and we're underway. Home half of the 5th. I don't know, Jimmy. I mean, you look at what he's done today, and be hard not to look at that and say, well, is the edge going to him for the 5th starter spot? We'll see.
I'm glad I do not have to make those decisions.
Me too.
Good luck.
Either way, you've got 2 really, really positive options. And it's not like you're trying to figure out, well, we're just going to go with this guy and hope for the best. I mean, those are 2 guys that are quality starters.
It's not like only 5 starters have pitched all year for this team for the last couple years.
Bader sends it into right center field. And he's 0 for 2.
That's the good thing, you know, Danny. You know you're going to use multiple starters, and you know you're going to bring up guys in the minor leagues. No matter what, it happens every year. So it's good news on both fronts, where as the manager, you can tell the player, hey, I mean, this is the option, this is the situation, make the best out of it. And as the player, you know when you go down there, probably going to be the first one called up. So kind of deal with it and, like I said, make the best out of it.
Here's Nolan Gorman. Quite the impression the other day. Nolan Gorman. Last season in the minor leagues and eventually was called up to Peoria. Off the end of the bat on a hop to second. Cardinals really like what they have. And talking with Mo today, you know, at their corner spots. Nolan Gorman being one of them, Mendoza, some of the others. Point of emphasis to draft some bats, see what they have, and develop these kids. Nolan Gorman hit a home run against the Nats the other day, and it was a long one. 18 years old. 18 years old, that's it. So Hudson out of this ball game. Cardinals will go to their pen, back to the top of the lineup, and here's Jairo Munoz. Munoz 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. But here it is, if you missed it from over the weekend, and Jimmy, 18. Wow. Hit to second, bobbled, and an error.
I was looking at Gorman's stats from last year. I had more home runs last year than I think I had my entire minor league career, and he's 18 years old.
Yeah, they think that young man is going to be something special. So 2 outs and the runner at first, and here is Goldschmidt.
talking with some of the veterans today, and they're about at the point where they're saying, you know what, it's time to break camp. Let's get it going for real. Especially the position players. You understand it for pitchers. They've got to build up. But position players, they're ready to roll.
Yeah, that last week here kind of gets a little redundant, I think, as long as they've been playing this game. I think the position players come along a lot faster, get ready a little bit quicker. And there's a lot of games down here, and they're meant for the pitchers. But, yeah, it's time to break and get the season going.
Ball and a strike on Paul Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt with a drive. There it is. At the wall. Gone. His first as a St. Louis Cardinal. Goldschmidt goes deep. First of spring. First as a Redbird.
Pretty good feeling right there. Get that monkey off your back. Although I know that he would probably say the same thing. That home run doesn't mean anything. He's hit the ball hard all spring training, and it's nice to at least have one for spring, but he's one of those guys that he's waiting for opening day to turn it up a notch, and hopefully he's ready to go and feeling good. It's a good swing on a slider down. Look how low this ball is. Right off the UPS truck.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
I know he may be saying it, but still, it's the first with a new team and the first in spring, and you put it best, monkey off your back. Just get one, right?
One's nice. You only need one, though. You had 33 last year. They're going to come.
Big numbers with Arizona in his career. 2-2 pitch to DeYoung. Center field. Will it carry? At the wall, and it's caught. Paul DeYoung sends it to center. Paul Goldschmidt sends one over the wall. 2-run shot. First is a Cardinal. 3-0 St. Louis. A 2-run homer, first as a St. Louis Cardinals player, and albeit it's spring, but he'll take it. Cardinals will take it. 3-0. New pitcher, Jason Shreve, the lefty picked up from the Yankees. And we told you earlier about Brett Cecil. He'll start on the injured list, so a little bit of clarity from the left side in the Cardinals bullpen. Shreve out of options, so he either makes the club or he's going to be with somebody else.
That's one way to look at it. That's going to be the choice to be made, I would think. That got to really decide if you want to lose a young man like this, or someone beats him out that much, or you hold on to him and kind of wait and see.
Shreve started this camp, and one of the things he talked about, and he's got a decent fastball, but I don't know if you feel this way, Jimmy. I mean, you faced so many lefties because you being a left-handed batter, but it just seems like you never hear about lefties throwing a splitter. You know, it's always the righties that throw the splitter, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he's got a split-fingered fastball.
Yeah, he does. He's got a good one, too. And you're right, you don't hear a lot of left-handed pitchers with a split-fingered fastball. And to be honest with you, it's kind of a lost pitch. A lost art of the game, as I think guys were a little afraid of it when Tommy John kind of burst onto the scene with everyone having elbow troubles. There's a few guys out there still throwing it, but yeah, definitely not very many lefties.
So one of the things that he started this camp talking about was trying to improve his breaking pitch, the slider, against those lefties. He said, Dan, it's a work in progress. I'm trying to get better. Doesn't get it there, but that's the thing. Against right-handed, batters, fastball in. Can I get it in on them?
Throw that ball underneath right there. Get the ball kind of a crossfire underneath their hands. Hopefully he gets a pitch like that called for a strike. And as soon as you do that, it opens up the whole outer half. And you hate to see a walk in that situation. I think he made 2 really quality pitches on the inside part of the plate and didn't get them. Kind of got to move on and make the next pitch.
7th appearance for Shreve, 6 1/3, and he's only allowed 4 hits here in this camp. So Altair, a walk, and now it brings in Nick Williams. Little ground ball hit to the right side. They'll try to get the lead man, and they do. Nice play. Drew Robinson gets the lead man. Not an easy play at all.
Said not an easy play. This is probably a play that most second basemen won't attempt. And knows he's in the baseline when he catches that ball to throw the ball to second base. A tough play, but he makes it nice. This really does help, though. Helps the defense, right? You get that guy. Now we can run the shift a little bit against their hitter coming up. Kind of have the running game intact instead of just a little guy on second base with 1 out. Now you kind of just change the whole complexity of the inning.
Dylan Cousins pulled foul right by Willie McGee. Watch out, Willie. And Pop Warner down there as well on the left. Pop Warner now the third base coach. Jose Oquendo will be here working with the minor leaguers.
That young man right there to the right, forget his first name, but that is Chris Chambliss' son. He came in and introduced himself to me today, and we talked a little bit. I forgot his first name. I've never met him before, and I told him, I was just like, that's impressive. His dad was some kind of player for the Yankees in the 80s.
Always think of his
70s.
walk-off.
Yes, I mean, wow, that's a name. When you're a Yankees fan as a kid, that's a name like, that's Reggie Jackson, Chris Chambliss, Thurman Munson.
Offline just a bit. Tough pitch to handle there outside for Yadier Molina, and a stolen base for Nick Williams.
You're right. You haven't seen him. I don't think he's made a bad throw all spring. He just doesn't get it all the way there.
And so here's what you were talking about, Jimmy, how it changes the defense for the Cardinals as they get out of the shift. 1-2 the count.
Yeah, you open up a little bit of a hole for the left-handed hitter now.
Two and 2 the count. 1 out runner at second. 3-0 Cardinals.
It's the tough thing about spring training too, is you're playing a lot of guys that you don't normally see. So especially for these younger players, they don't know. You got the new pitchers that you don't see a whole lot. You got hitters you don't normally see. You can see the outfielders kind of wandering around trying to figure out where to play. The infielders don't know if the shift is on, if it's not on. It makes it tough. It's nerve-wracking to not really know where you want to be on defense.
Three and 2 the count.
Take a look at that defense and pretty much playing him to pull, and then you got Ozuna's way over in left field. Huge gap in left center field. Big hole at short. There's a lot of room out there on that field right now.
Wind blowing out to right. little bit of a crosswind. 3-2 pitch. Shreve. Swing and a miss. There's that breaking pitch.
It's a great pitch right here. Got an open base, not afraid to try and make a pitch, and he does. That's a big league pitch right there. That's knowing the situation, having an open base, but having the confidence to throw that breaking ball with the count not in your favor. Like I said, with the open base, nothing to lose.
Here's Sean Rodriguez. Mentioned that his dad is a minor league manager, and Sean Rodriguez, many years with the Pirates and then with Atlanta. He had a nasty car accident, and his dad was telling me in camp here, and that car accident was a couple years ago, that his baseball career would have been done. He tore up his shoulder. It was a non-throwing shoulder, but really just a nasty car accident. And thank goodness that he and his family were okay in that accident, but it was at one point career threatening. There's an 0-2 pitch. That's pulled foul, and Sean had some really good years coming off that bench, and it just seemed like he had good years against the Cardinals, no matter where he played. Remember, Jimmy, he was
everywhere.
he was all over the diamond.
Always came up with a big hit. Always making a nice play. Pretty good athlete.
Nothing in 2 the count. Next by Shreve.
Good pitch.
He's had a tough camp. 3 for 34. Coming into play now, 3 for 36. Doesn't get the call there either.
Would be the 0-86 if you're scoring at home.
Yep. Two balls and 2 strikes. And the next by Shreve. Hit out of play. We've seen 9 strikeouts in the Phillies lineup. 8 of them thanks to Dakota Hudson in his 5 innings of work. Cardinals have hit 2 home runs. If you just joined us, solo home run, opposite field shot by Tyler O'Neill, and a 2-run homer by Paul Goldschmidt. First as a Cardinal. Big crowd today. Sellout. Jimmy talked about all the red in the stands. Philly fans, Cardinal fans. Here at Roger Dean Stadium here in Jupiter, and now Conference on the mound. 2-2 the count with 2 outs and a runner at second base. Get 5 mound visits this year. There's rule changes coming in 2020, but one of the new rule changes this year, mound visits from 6 to 5, and that'll start the 28th in Milwaukee. The 2-2. Some of those changes, shortened inning breaks, the mound visits, trade waivers eliminated. We'll study other potential changes between Major League Baseball and Players Association and the All-Star Game, the Home Run Derby, a lot of money on the line, and the payment structure for that. 3-2 pitch, and he walked him. So 2 walks in the inning by Shreve. My partner Jim Edmonds was a part of the home run derby, and that messed you up, didn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Mess up my swing. I had a tender shoulder, and I think I injured it a little bit over swinging, but all part of the fun.
As you raise your eyebrows, all part of the fun.
Yeah, it's just always had to battle that shoulder, my glove shoulder, from diving and crashing into walls, so it was always sore. Just one of those things that can't help, and I don't know if I would have stayed out of the home run derby, but I was healthy going into it. So, I mean, it was an experience I guess I don't think I would have turned down anyways, unless I was hurt before, but pretty crazy experience, to be honest with you.
There's Trevor Plouffe, and a ball down and in. Right-hander starts to throw in the Cardinal pen. It's John Brebbia. The 2-0 pitch to Trevor Plouffe, who is 0 for 2 with a fly out and a strikeout. There's a strike. One of the rules that will be implemented is relievers coming in, or any pitcher, as Plouffe hits it high down the left field line, that'll go foul, but coming in to face or even start a game, as we saw Milwaukee do that last year, and facing a minimum of 3 batters. That really changes the strategy for a manager. I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I'm right now I'm not a big fan. I think that we might be trying to change too much. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of left-handed specialists that aren't going to be big fans either. So
no.
I'd like to hear some manager's perspective on that, maybe coming up soon.
2-2 popped up. Goldschmidt over foul territory. He's got it. Scoreless inning. Chasing Shreve. Phillies strand 2, 3-0 Redbirds. Ballpark Gap is the one-stop shop to access and manage your tickets, receive exclusive content, and find the best eats in the ballpark and more. Download the MLB Ballpark app today from your app store. And a lefty is in for the Phillies as we move to the bottom of the 6th. James Pezos, last season 4-1 out of their pen. And Marcell Ozuna, as Brebbia continues to throw, the hard-throwing right-hander for St. Louis. We'll continue to double box this. Get that side look at Marcell Ozuna. We'll have the telestrator available for Jim in regular season play. One of your favorite tools and toys to play with during regular season action, Jimmy. As I found out, Jim Edmonds loves to play a little golf. It's hard to play golf. It's hard to hit a baseball. Balance in both, right?
Exactly.
We're seeing balance right here with Marcell Ozuna. A little bit off. Timing, movement, those kind of things.
You just want to eliminate as much movement as possible when you're hitting, trying to stay behind the ball. Just like in golf, as I know.
And the 2-1 to the Cardinal left fielder. There's a base hit. Went down to get it. And the second hit of the day for Marcell Ozuna. Infield hit. And now the base hit to left.
What's the old saying in golf? If you sway, you spray?
Many times I've heard that, and many times I've done that. This is what I found out about Jim Edmonds playing some golf down here in Florida with you. Jimmy tells me you played in a Pro-Am. You said your hands were shaking.
Yeah, a couple times.
And I said, but Jimmy, you played in, like Game 7 of the NLCS a couple of times. You played in World Series. But Dan, that wasn't a big deal.
It's not the same for some reason.
I wasn't really that nervous. Matter of fact, I wasn't nervous at all. O'Neill hits a fly ball into center. But yet, standing over the golf ball for a Pro-Am, hands were shaking.
Yeah, I was kind of worried that I might just
yanked
hit somebody in the stands with a not so well-timed drive. Can you imagine? I can't even imagine.
That's what it is. Kind of funny for those who play golf, or the weekend hacker, if you will. And you watch on, your favorite.
How about when those guys go out of bounds?
That's what I'm saying.
And the camera's behind them, and there's just this funnel of people.
Right.
With an 8-iron or 7-iron out of the woods.
Into left center and 2 down.
No way would I stand right there.
No.
I think it's funny when you play golf and you play a couple times with someone, and when the guy's hitting, everyone's always standing behind or way off to the side. And then you start playing with a couple of guys that you know are decent, and then you just start kind of wandering forward like, he's not going to shake one. The first time somebody hits a ball at you, you're like, okay, I won't do that anymore.
Well, I noticed you really backing up the other day with me.
I was giving you your space.
I thought, well, maybe that's a telltale sign of how I'm hitting the ball recently.
I think it was more of my own shanks that were firing off into the weeds.
Drew Robinson hit into a double play with the bases loaded. Also flied to right. You have any concerns right now with the Cardinals bench with Jerko down, and it's very, very right-handed heavy, minus Drew Robinson?
Yeah, I think that, and that's the thing too, is Drew's got a great chance to make this club, but he's really got to show that he can make this club, and that's just going out there and playing. He's done a nice job defensively all spring. A couple mental errors here and there, and things that maybe you haven't seen on TV, and he's owned it, he's fixed it. And he started off pretty good with the bat, and then he's just kind of struggled just a little bit. And so I'm sure he's getting a little anxious, and he wants to turn it around really quick. And he knows he's got a shot to make this club.
Yeah, I bet right now, you start, hey, these guys are human beings. They're just
you start to look.
See it.
Yep. You start to look. You're right. You start to play that numbers game. You start to see the fact that you're one of, let's say, 28 or 30 guys left for the 25-man roster, and start to pay attention to it a little bit more.
That's out of play. They've dedicated their lives to this game, and it's interesting. You start looking at minor league salaries, and they're not making much, if anything, riding buses to get to this point and make a major league team, and it's life-changing. Want to make that team. It's a dream. Runner goes, good jump, and may have chased a ball, popped it up left side, and a foul ball. You know what I'm talking about, Jimmy. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of guys talking about that. You get to this point. Now, Drew Robinson has had a taste of the big leagues, but you're seeing it. Jerko's hurt. The schedule allows the Cardinals to maybe carry more bench guys if they wanted to.
Opens up a slot. You're right. Bet. It's like you said, human nature, right? You start counting the players. Start watching the lockers disappear.
Yes.
You're one of the last ones left. You're just hoping that they don't call you in at any particular day. Kind of just ignore you for the rest of spring.
Hey, there's not a lot of lefties. That's another thing.
And the discrepancy now, I think, in the paycheck is way more than it used to be.
Oh, my goodness.
And the salaries for the minimum are 4 and 5 times what they were when I came up. And, you know, guys were making, you know, some guys would be making $40,000, $50,000 in AAA if they'd been there a long time. I'm making only 100 in the big leagues. And nowadays, you know, I don't know what the AAA salaries are, but I can't believe they're much more. And I think the minimum now is
$550 maybe.
Yeah, upper 400s, 500. So that's 5 something. That's a big change.
We're told it's $570,000 for the league minimum this year.
Not a bad day's worth of work right there.
No, sir.
So yeah, there's a little bit of pressure.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Drew Robinson, Bader on deck. Ozuna's been running on these 2-2s. See if he's running again. He is, and pulled foul. I think we're going to see this a lot. I was wondering today, and I'm curious your thoughts. Cardinals have run a little bit here in spring training, Bader for sure. But if Mike Schilt has been holding back a little bit not to show what he may do, and if other teams do that too, because Mike, we saw when the Cardinals were winning in August, they were running wild. And if he's going to do that in regular season play.
Yeah, I think what you do as a manager in this situation is you turn them all loose, right? And let them run when they want to run, see who can do it, see who can't, and then you kind of take over as the season starts.
Sure. So Robinson a strikeout. It's 3-0. We head to the 7th on Fox Sports Midwest. 3-0, top of the 7th, and John Brebbia will take over. Numbers last season for John Brebbia, and it was up and down for Brebbia. That's also a change upcoming in which pitchers, if they hit the injured list, or really anybody, but specifically let's talk about these guys, injured list for pitchers from 10-day to 15 days. So that will, you know, curtail maybe the appetite for those GMs or presidents of baseball operations to have maybe the phantom injury, Jimmy, to say, well, we've got this guy and we're going to send him to whatever minor league affiliate he may go to and bring somebody else up. And, you know, you keep the roster you have and you deal with it.
I think what you've seen in the past with a guy like Brebbia, too, is the ability for teams to manipulate the roster a little bit.
Exactly.
Because if you send a guy like John out and then somebody else gets hurt right away, whether it's a pitcher or not, you can bring him right back. I think that what they've done is they've created a situation where the DL is in place, or the injured list, or whatever they're going to call it this year. That person is going to have to spend a little extra time on the deal. You're right, it's going to create a different atmosphere of how to handle that, but there's still going to be that option. I think there's still that situation, and if they send someone out and then someone goes on the DL, that there used to be a minimum requirement of how long that person has to stay unless someone gets hurt.
Right.
So that's where the manipulation of the roster can come into play, and I think that is still out there. But yeah, it's weird how they had the concussion list and then the pitchers are different. And it's starting to get a little tricky. It's turning into football, you know. I think that there's so many, football is so hard to follow. I think if you really sat down, I'm sure you do this stuff you've done this stuff for so long, you get it. But I'm talking to John Elway one day, and I couldn't believe all the rules and stuff that's going on. And the casual fan would have no idea. I think baseball's heading that way, and it's going to be tough.
Up and in, 1 ball, 1 strike. Bill Goslin has had big league time on a couple of different squads. Here's the 1-1. fouled back. Tony La Russa will be in for opening day in St. Louis, and he'll also have on April 3rd, that's the night before his annual Animal Rescue Foundation Wine and Whiskers. arflife.org to find out more. Fundraiser, arflife.org. Strikeout for Brebbia. I was talking with some scouts this time last year, and they were amazed that the Cardinals found John Brebbia. Now, he was a minor league pickup, and they said to me, the reason the Cardinals have had success is, number one, the drafts, in rounds 5 through 10, or going even in, finding the Rosenthals, the Matt Adams, those kinds of guys, and developing those players. But they said, what a great example is, Dan? John Brebbia. Anybody could have had John Brebbia. Anybody. And they found this guy. And they said, now how do they find these kind of guys? And they said, and I'm not going to say what organization they were working for, but they said that is a credit to the Cardinals. They find these types of guys. This is a valuable piece to a bullpen. And they were saying for their club at that point, it was a lesser club, they said John Brebbia might be closing for our club. That's how good his stuff is that we think. And at that point, this time last year, he was throwing mid to high 90s. Good slider. They said he would be our setup guy right now, or maybe potentially closing as the season would go on. That's how much they thought of him. And yet last year for Brebbia, he's up and down.
Up and down, yeah, you're right.
And, the Cardinals find some of these gems. And this guy is really good. He has been valuable for the Cardinals. And, again, he'll be valuable at some point this year for St. Louis. Whether that's breaking with the club, but he'll be in the big leagues. Put in play, softly hit, weak contact, John Brebbia, 1-2-3. Ho hum.
Did it again.
Yep. And he's also weird. And I like that.
That helps.
I love it. He's fun. 3-0 Cardinals. Let's stretch. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you in part by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. And by Ford, the official car and truck of the St. Louis Cardinals. It is windy now here in Jupiter, and here's Harrison Bader, the Cardinals center fielder. Yaxel Rios. Some pitch against the Cardinals last year. They had some bullpen issues for the Phillies. They think they've addressed that. And the Cardinals have Alex Reyes throwing now in the bullpen for St. Louis. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jose Martinez at the on-deck circle. I'm going to commend you, Jimmy. You ready? Well, first of all, I think you're a Hall of Fame player. I've always said that. I think you should be in baseball's Hall of Fame, and I do think that'll happen someday. There's a strike, especially with Harold Baines being in. But you don't have to say anything. I'll say it for you. So just don't worry about that.
I've seen where you're going.
And you're a Hall of Fame guy. One of my best friends, Jim Edmonds. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You don't even know where I'm going with this.
No, I'm trying to watch Harry down there.
Well, just
keep going.
Put spring training. I could talk about what I want. We're not in mid-season form yet. And Bill Cochran's in my ear, our producer. And you can just be quiet, Bill.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Just focus on what you need to do, Bill. But I'm going to tell you, young Landon, your son over there, that is a good boy. He is very well-mannered.
Thank you.
He's always very, very well-mannered and a good boy. 3-2 pitch. Grounded to third and out.
Well, I'm very happy to have him in spring training.
It's awesome.
And very nice of the St. Louis Cardinals to allow me to bring him down here and spend some time on the field, because when I came up through the league, that's what we did. And that's what I did. I sat there with the Tate Matheny's and all the Matheny kids and the Cal Eldred kids and all the kids that have come through our organization with their dads. I was the one getting to spend time with those kids while their dads were either working on catching or pitching, and I'd stand out in the outfield and shag with them. So
no, you didn't. You babysat them.
I babysat them, but
I watched it.
For some situations, they didn't work out for a while, and now I've come back with wanting to work for the Cardinals, and I wanted to bring my son with me, and that was one of my stipulations to be more involved. So they were obliging, and I think that was amazing to have that be okay.
I like the fact that Mike Schultz
it's the way
said
it should be.
You bet it should be. And Mike Schultz said to us the other day, we were walking, he said, wait a minute, where's your son?
Yeah.
He said, what's going on
Not
here?
spring break yet.
Right.
Jumping the gun. Well, I had my little one out there.
Little one.
Little one. Aspen was out here on the field, so.
Dylan Carlson at the plate.
He was running where Landon was hiding.
Two fouled back. What's weird for me is I saw Cal's son, and I remember when Cal's son was
Eldred.
Cal Eldred, I should specify that.
Forget that we're not just talking between me and you.
Yeah. He was about, 4 foot tall. And then I ran into him. There's a sliced base hit the other way. I love his left-handed
There's my guy
swing.
right there.
Me too. And I saw him when Kansas City came through, and I still envision him as the little guy.
Little
right.
guy. Little Luke, little CJ.
It was CJ.
That was a good swing right there by Dylan Carlson.
And I said to Cal, who's this? And he said, it's CJ.
He's 6'3",
I said,
6'5".
He's like 6'5". I said, what? I said, that's not CJ. He goes, no, Dan, that's CJ. I forgot that he grew and actually grew into a man. But, oh, my gosh.
Some big boys.
Yes.
Good kids. Great kids.
Runner goes, and that's tap foul.
Talk about well-mannered.
Yes.
Great family. Those are some good kids right there, the Eldred boys.
You should be proud, though, Jimmy. That young man to your right is a good boy. Dylan Carlson, I don't know about you. I love his swing from the left side of the plate.
He's going to be a player, I'll tell you what. I think he's 20 years old. Hasn't had a whole lot of time in pro ball yet, and I just think he's dynamic as far as his mind is right on track with where he should, actually ahead of the game where he should be. His swing is good. He's got a great arm. He runs well. He's a big kid.
Do you see him maybe even being a center fielder at some point?
I think with his mind, his brain, and his ability, I think he reminds me a lot of myself a little bit, where he's underestimated, but I think he runs better than I do. He throws, I don't know if he throws better than I did, but I think he's ahead of where I was at his age for sure.
I said to Mo last Monday, asking him about Carlson, and that's when he hit, the day before he hit the home run off of Diaz of the Mets, who had 57 saves for Seattle, led all of baseball in saves. And he hit a long home run from the left side of the plate. And here's the 0-1 pitch to Munoz. And another check. I said, just tell me a little bit more about Dylan Carlson. He said, well, obviously 20 years old, but if this was a different year and we're a different team, you know, the game is changing now with youth. He said at 20 years old, you never know. And it wasn't Mo saying he's going to break a camp and be a major leaguer. But it may be one of those years where you take a longer look and, guys surprise you. And you have those kind of kids that maybe get the longer look and maybe, just maybe, push the envelope a little bit. And I'm not saying break camp, but
no, you're right. I think
you know what I'm saying. I mean,
think you're right.
You know, maybe eventually comes up, but you know, the Cardinals are stacked right now. Where's he going to play?
Well, and what you also have at the big league level is an amount of coaches to kind of help players along.
Good point.
As the season progresses, versus the minor leagues, they're limited as far as staff in each city. You know, you don't have as many coaches, so you can't kind of one-on-one with guys as much and give them, and I'm not talking about working with them, I'm talking about sitting down next to them and teaching them the game as the game's going on. You would almost have to rely on the young man to be in the manager's ear if he wasn't playing. And yet he would go down and play and have to learn on his own. So it is definitely a different scenario, you're right. And if things were different, he might have a chance to get up in the big leagues.
Soft liner, and that's caught.
He's a big kid, too. He's a big,
yes,
strong kid. Just drafted in 2016, so this is only his, basically, beginning of his third year, but really probably only got a half of that first year in, so it's very, very, very young.
There's Paul Goldschmidt, who homered. That was back in inning number 5. And here it was with 2 down. Went down to get it.
Such a nice swing.
Jimmy, how about how I used to think this when he was in Arizona, kind of wraps the bat or drops it there and then gets it into hitting position.
It kind of does. He gets it in an awkward position, I would say. And then right as he's getting ready to get into the hitting position, he brings it back up. And that's just his mechanism of how to get maybe his back straightened up and not to lean over. We talk a lot about, guys, the hitters talk a lot about leaning over the plate too much. You see how he's straight up so he can attack the ball. You start to lean over, you start to create a hole inside at your belt that you can't recover from. So a lot of guys are starting to work on really trying to stay up tall and stay as tall as you can as long as you can.
And the baseball got away in the Cardinal bullpen. The Cardinals, by the way, no Matt Carpenter today, off day tomorrow. May see him at the end of the week dealing with a sore back. And that's hit out of play. So not the full complement of starters here this afternoon. But that'll change by this weekend.
I would think that's probably going to start changing here right after the off day, if I had to guess. Less than a week to go. Got to get everyone out there playing together and getting them involved for 9 innings, starting to manage the game like it's supposed to be played. And everyone's, you get Schulte out there is going to have to maybe manage the bullpen a little bit, and those guys are going to have to be ready to come in off the bench. And at the same time, you still got to get guys into a game.
Just missed, down and in. Hit out of play.
I'm seeing a different Paul Goldschmidt in this at bat than I've seen probably all spring.
I think today
that little home run gave him some life and some confidence. He's really staying into his program that you you learn to watch these guys over the years when they're playing against you, and you're like, hey, I remember this guy, and now all of a sudden that's the guy that you're used to seeing on TV playing against the Cardinals. Just kind of staying through the ball, working the other way, and when you do that, you get that breaking ball like you saw him hit for a home run. Square that ball up and foul some good pitches off, and his balance looks a lot better today.
Again, going back to the conversation with John Mozeliak today, I said, are you concerned about the offense, which has been talked a lot about among the media and the fans? It's been a lack of offense down here, and he said no, because proven track records, guys working on things. And Goldschmidt hits it out to left, and this ball will get down but foul. You've been there, Jim. I mean, veteran, proven track record. Sometimes you work on things, and it doesn't show up with average home runs, RBI, slugging percentage, however you want to measure it, but you're getting your work in.
Yeah, and you know what, too, the older the team gets, the more that happens. You know, the more guys are just really working on things and not really concern themselves with hits and maybe taking less at bats. And I'll tell you what, I don't know about most of these guys, but for me, whenever he went north and those big lights came on, it was a whole nother ball game.
You bet.
You could step it up a notch. Your swing gets a little bit quicker. The adrenaline starts to run. You can see the ball a little bit better. I still think it's tough to see the ball in some of these ballparks. Backdrop's not as big. I had trouble here.
Yeah.
The backdrop's not very big. I think it's always a little cloudy and windy here. I thought Florida was a little different. I enjoy playing down here. It's just sometimes the numbers don't help.
Really good at bat.
Great at bat.
First and second for the Cardinals shortstop, Paul DeYoung. Notice the at-bats for DeYoung, by the way, since our game against Houston have improved. Would you agree?
Yeah, he's been swinging the bat pretty well, too, and I think his numbers aren't really showing. And I think the ball that he hit earlier in the day is probably a home run in most ballparks, except for right here when the wind's blowing. And he knows that. I know that talking to him, he's not frustrated. He's been swinging the bat well. He had a line drive to center the other day that he thought he hit pretty good, and I think he's had a really nice spring. I just think if they turned off the numbers on the average, you wouldn't even know that he was hitting below 200. So that's definitely not a concern at all.
And there's a strike.
Tell you what, you talk about him a lot over the course of last year and a little bit before, and you talk about why you watch him play, and his demeanor is so calm, and it's even more impressive in person, day in and day out, and in the clubhouse and just around the field. Just a really, really solid guy, and no wonder what you see on the TV is, you know, the rumors are that he is what he is. It's amazing to talk to him and be around him day in and day out.
Clearly very bright, smart player, and does not get too high, too low. DeYoung fights it through into center field. Throw to the plate, offline, and now a 4-0 Cardinal lead. The single by DeYoung. Dylan Carlson scoring the 4th run for St. Louis.
It's another good at bat by Paulie. You know, it's funny. You crush the ball to center, it's an out. You hit a line drive to right, it's an out, and then you hit one off the end of the bat, and everyone's jumping up and down. So it's just the way this game works out. But like I said, Paul DeYoung's going to be right where he needs to be come opening day.
Pitching change coming up, 4-0 Cardinals. Dakota Hudson, the starter today for the Cardinals, battling for that 5th spot in the rotation and did nothing to disappoint. twice pitching out of jams, 5 innings, and the 8 strikeouts. A Budweiser player of the game. I mean, you love the strikeouts, Jimmy, but the fact that he had twice in the 3rd and the 5th, runner at 3rd, less than 2 outs, and came up with strikeouts, pretty impressive.
Pitched out of jams. Those were impressive, but the demeanor of the way that he got through it, especially being defensive miscues, I would say, to put him in the jam.
Right.
And to keep his composure and go out there and make those pitches, I thought that was even more special. There's all kinds of ways you can get into trouble, and that's not the way that you want to envision it. But he did a great job getting through it.
Bring your glove to the ballpark.
I don't know if you want to try and catch that one. And no, he did not catch that ball. That was ricocheting around.
The 2-1 pitch. Can he beat it out? Doesn't have to worry about it. Foul ball.
Marcel was running to second base.
Ozuna, fly ball, shallow right, and the catch is made. 4-0 Cardinals. Paul DeYoung with the RBI single into center. 4-0 St. Louis. Alex Reyes on the mound for the Cardinals here in the 8th inning. 4-0 in favor of St. Louis here at Roger Dean Stadium. Looks like he is tracking towards the bullpen, still undecided at this point. If he does make the club, it will be in the bullpen for St. Louis. And the last time we saw Alex, it was a very good first inning, and then the Cardinals put him back out there for a second and elevated some pitches and got roughed up. But boy, the signs are there that he has just been so good. And here is Shane Robinson, the former St. Louis Cardinal and former outstanding player at Florida State University. 0-1 pitch. Had a nice conversation today with Alex. I said, are you fully just letting it loose? You feel good? You feel healthy? And he said, absolutely. Finally healthy, feeling good. And he said, most importantly, how's your daughter? How's her health? And he said, thank you for asking. Beautiful, healthy. He said, I just want to get to St. Louis and settle in. 1-2 pitch. And did not go, so it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Boy, Jimmy, the upside with Alex Reyes is incredible.
He's a great kid, too.
He is.
Very mild-mannered also, and very respectful of the game. And I mean, I can't hope for nothing but the best for this young man. He's had a tough couple years. Be nice to see him come back and really be as dominant as they think he can be.
Got him. This is what he has been through. Made his major league debut, and it was electric. 2017, partial tear of the UCL, so Tommy John, and then last year, the lat strain that was against Milwaukee on the 30th of May. Fastball. He has been consistently right around 96, 98. That pitch at 95. One and two.
That's the pitch that sets him apart right there. That little like change up slash split that he throws. It just looks like a regular fastball coming out of your hand, except for he's normally throwing 96, and that's at 90. Tough to see that as a hitter. Got a good breaking ball.
The 2-2 pitch. Got him. He has struck out the first two he's seen. Pitch sequence lasted bad.
It's a fastball. There's that changeup. There's that changeup again. Doesn't look like a changeup, look like a fastball, but you can see the difference right there.
Hit into center, and it falls in front of Bader. Line drive and a base hit. And we'll see Dylan Cousins. I met Alex Reyes when the Cardinals brought him in first year in camp, and you know, Jimmy, I do some of the production work for the club, and so highly thought of prospect, obviously, and they bring those guys in, and we're in the back of the minor league complex.
When you put the helmet on and grabbed the bat and was like, bring it on, big boy.
Not a chance. And they said, Dan, meet Alex Reyes. And we were talking about that today. He said, Dan, I remember when I first met you. And we started talking about that. And he said, man, it has been a long road, as you were talking about that, of remembering when we first met many years ago to just talking today. And he said, I just want to get back to St. Louis. It's been a long road, but I'm finally healthy. My daughter's healthy. I just want to get my family there, get settled, and have just a quote-unquote normal season.
Don't we all?
Yeah. And I think we all pull for him because he is such a likable guy. And as you mentioned, mild-mannered, respectful. The veterans pull for him. Very respectful in a game that expects you to be so respectful of the veterans and those that have paved the way. And he's like that. Love to see that. Scoreless inning. A couple of strikeouts. 4-0 midway through 8. Copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Some dark clouds and sky overhead.
No rain yet. No rain today, Dan.
No, sir.
All day tomorrow on our off day, though.
Yes, sir.
No chance for golf.
Tyler O'Neill. Watch out. Line to second. And that's the first out. So one pitch, one out.
That's shift will get you a little bit. Hit a line drive right over the pitcher's head about 5 years ago, and you got a hit. Now, not so much.
Do you remember when the shift became a factor when you were playing?
I never had it. It was right after. It's only been really, they would shift a little bit in guys that were, you would take your, like Jim Tomei or someone like that, but it wouldn't be so drastic. You look at this, look at the defense now. That's your shift back in early 2000s where guys just moved around a little bit more. But, now it's like every other player. And it makes sense because there's a lot of guys, like for myself included, I was pull on the ground and the opposite in the air. So yeah, I mean, it'd shift for sure. And you, after a couple hundred at bats, you start to see it forming.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty obvious. You can tell by just the way a guy takes swings where he's going to hit the ball, and how and why.
And Yadi sends it high in the air to center field. Out number 2. I think now there's so much guess hitting in the game because these guys are so good. It's 98 everybody, and they have split finger, changeup, curveball, cutter, sinker. It's tough to hit.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's always been tough to hit, but these guys are getting more and more special. Guys are they got so much more information on the hitters.
Yep.
The game is just changing, and it's getting more detail-oriented.
Drew Robinson at the plate. You agree with that, though, the guess hitting?
I wouldn't say as much. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say as much guess hitting. I think that you really have to be careful of what you can and can't hit. And so I see a lot of guys taking certain pitches, taking a lot of early pitches, early strikes, making pitchers work a little bit more. I mean, I think the hitters sit on certain pitches. I would hate to say the word guess because I think that offends hitters, and I don't mean that in a negative way towards you or anyone. I'm just saying, like, I think they kind of think with counts, and then now there's so much analytics that it basically says the percentage of a chance that he's going to throw a certain pitch in a certain count to a righty and a lefty, and that's really changed.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could really rely on that because, like I said, sometimes that percentage is the whole league and not maybe the 3, 4, and 5 hitter. But I'd hate to guess wrong. Guess wrong, and you're going to get a bruise.
That's for sure.
For sure.
I would think then if you're a pitcher, you've got to change your pattern because the pattern, if you stay the same, guys know it.
It was interesting the other day. I think we were playing a certain someone. I'm not going to say who, and one of our guys had played with them a lot, and pitch was thrown, and it was thrown in off the plate and swung maybe and fouled off and pulled foul. And I heard someone blurt out, "Here comes the cutter." You start to see, and it's just the way people pitch, and it's just the way they, if you pay attention, you see it, and if you play with someone, you see it. But it's still hard to do. It's still hard to hit when you're in the box and really trust it, because, like I said, if you guess wrong, no one wants to get hit in the face.
No.
No one wants to dive in on a fastball looking for a breaking ball. So that'll still keep your attention.
3-2 on Robinson. Hitless today. Thank goodness for those screens. Man, oh man.
Tell you what, the one thing that screen does, you're getting a ricochet in the dugout.
Yes, you do.
That ball that used to just go over your head, now you almost have to pay attention to it coming back to you. But it's saving the fans, and that's what's really important.
And a base hit into right.
And he needed that hit.
Jordan Hicks getting set for the 9th inning for St. Louis.
Good job right here, just battling. Drew Robinson battling against the lefty and win the battle, and he really needed that base hit.
Harrison Bader over 3.
It's a good look at what a 4-0 deficit looks like in spring training. Catcher looks over to the bench, and nobody on the bench is looking at it.
No.
Do it yourself.
Usually by this time in a game, I'm at home especially looking down to find the cat. Jim Hayes would be behind home plate getting set for a post-game interview. Finding out where he is going to situate himself for that post-game interview. I miss the cat down here in spring training. And I'm not afraid to talk about it or say it. That one going against Bader. And I know you do too, Jimmy.
The good cat.
Jim Hayes. He'll be with us in Milwaukee. Jim Edmonds will be in the studio. Hour-long pregame show with Al Rabowski and Erica Weston. Runner goes, swung on and missed. Throw down to second and save at second base.
Good pitch to run on right there.
It's closer than I thought.
It was pretty close. Gets a slider and gets a good jump. It's still pretty close.
We're going to go out to dinner this weekend. I'm going to have some bold predictions for the upcoming season. Ooh, he struck him out, and that's a tough at bat against Bader. Wow. Jordan Hicks has the ninth inning today. Ooh, watch out. '73 games a year ago.
That was the softest, if I may, pitch he's thrown all spring in the 98. The slowest, softest? What would you say? The gun's broken?
He has been throwing hard down here, man. He's been hitting 101, 102.
Got him a 103 the other day.
Yep. 2-0 pitch on its way. And he goes with a slider.
That's not fair.
Wow. He's also, as we've seen, Jimmy, been
Watch
mixing
the heels
in.
right here. Oh! That's not a good
fair.
feeling.
How about he's also mixed in the changeup, too?
He's been working on that changeup a little bit.
Woo. 100.
Now he's getting loose. I'll tell you what, though, to be honest with you, I mean, all kidding aside, that slider's a weapon.
Yeah.
And that keeps him back a little bit more, and his mechanics a little bit sharper, and whenever he loses that fastball, he can always go to that slider.
The 2-2.
Good Lord.
Not sure where this pitch was. Let's take a look.
I got a question for you. How is that not a strike? That is right across the zone.
Three-two pitch, and he walked him. And that is what Hicks has talked about in this camp going into this season, that really wants to cut down on that. You know, walks and falling behind in counts.
I mean, that's going to happen if you don't get a cooperation of the umpire at times. But you're right, though. The walks have to come down, and I mean that's part of it too, right? The magic of Jordan Hicks is the velocity and maybe a little bit of the uncomfortableness. If he's throwing the ball right down the middle every time, you wouldn't see guys taking a first pitch fastball. I can promise you that.
Here's Trevor Plouffe, 0 for 3 today. Runner at first, 4-0 Cardinals. We're in the top of the ninth. It's unfair. 0-2. Some of the highlights of his season a year ago led Major League Baseball. The average velocity was triple digits. 4 of the 5 fastest pitches, and it was against the Phillies May 20th against Herrera. He had that pitch that was 105, and now the first 2 have reached. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that you would say at this point, and I could be wrong, but that Jordan Hicks is anointed the closer. I mean, I could see times that Hicks is the closer, or Andrew Miller is your closer too going into games. Would you agree?
I would think that that's the way it's going to be, but that's the good and bad. We don't really know. That's the good for Mike Schultz. He can do that. He's got amazing weapons from both sides, and he can really lean on both of those guys.
Brantley, a ground ball, and Robinson could not get it out of the glove. So runners at second and third with 1 down.
And that's a tough play right there, Drew Robinson, but a great play by Drew Robinson to not throw that ball away. That is the killer on defense. Goes to his left here. He tries to make a good play, can't come up with it. Most young players throw that ball anyways, usually throw it away. Drew does a nice job of just slowing down the game, getting the out.
Runners at second and third. Now Gosselin here in the top of the 9th. .100 on the gun. A single back in the third. And the 0-1. Also think Hicks has gotten a little bit bigger, stronger coming into this season as well, upper body wise.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's put on a couple of pounds.
Yeah.
Those are good pounds for a guy like this, a young pitcher. Going to be used a lot.
Ground ball. Get the out, and they do just in time. Run does score, makes it 4-1. Exchange the run for the out. Cardinals baseball continues Wednesday. We have these shared games that we'll have with the Marlins, and that'll be Wednesday at noon. Looking forward to that. And that's at noon. You can see it on Fox Sports Midwest. So 2 away and a runner at second base. It's filthy. Here's Petit at the plate. Cardinals 1 out away from picking up a victory here. You'll be back in uniform, will you not?
Yes. And so will Landon.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Runner at second and 2 outs. Next by Jordan Hicks. And now the Phillies down to their final strike. Next by Hicks. Held on to, no, Molina could not. Again, the off day tomorrow for the Cardinals and on the air noon Wednesday. And the 1-2. Slider again.
Pretty good at bat by Petit. Tough pitches to foul off right there.
Yep. Got him. Cardinals hold on for the win, 4-1. The strikeout for Jordan Hicks. Story today, though, a couple of home runs hit. The first by Paul Goldschmidt wearing a Cardinal uniform, and also the performance by Dakota Hudson.
Dakota Hudson might have sealed some fate for him this year with a nice performance. Huge couple of innings getting out of jams, and we'll see what happens here in another couple of days when they got to start making decisions, but pretty impressive.
Jimmy, I'll see you on Thursday. You'll be back in uniform in the dugout on Wednesday. And our next telecast will be Wednesday at noon. I'll be back to wrap things up. After this brief timeout, the Cardinals win it by the final of 4-1.